Greetings all on this Tuesday, the day of Mars, and the herb I'm going to do is a herb of Wednesday. It's ruled by Mercury, the messenger, and its name is Mandrake, or Mandragora species. So here we have Mandrake, and it's called Mandragora officinarium, and there are other mandrakes. There's also Mandragora autumnalis, which fruits and flowers later in the year. It was once thought that they were different genders. They were gendered, the plants, according to the way they looked, but it turns out they're actually different species. So other names for mandrake include Abulwa, which means the master of life breath, Satan's apple, Arun, Yabruk, Yabra, Circe's root, and it is the root that is the medicine. And the root looks sometimes like the form of a human. And because of its entheogenic, psychosomatic, sedative, paralytic, and even potentially lethal qualities and flying qualities, it's associated with witchcraft, magic, spirituality, flying, portals, protection, and medicine. Dioscorides mentioned this plant in 40 to 90 AD for anesthesia and sedation, mixed with opium, henbane and hemlock. Odysseus, or in the Odyssey, Circe used it to turn men into pigs. But more importantly, it was mentioned in medical papyri dating back to 2000 years BCE. There's a famous medical papyri named after a colonizer, who I will not even say its name, but it's one of the longest medical papyri that was written in hieratic, and it mentions mandrake's use. Then, it's not to be confused with the common name of mandrake, which could be Podophyllum paltum or Bryonia alba, which also produces anthropomorphic roots. In this country, the root has been used as an amulet. People put them under the pillows at night. They were worn as good luck, for fertility, and they've also had a lot of association with helping with infertility and being an aphrodisiac. But I actually think it's the tomato-looking plant fruit that's actually the aphrodisiac portion. The ripe fruit is antimicrobial, anti-diabetic, anti-lipase and cytotoxic. The roots, that look sort of like small parsnips but with divisions, were so popular they sold for a lot of money in post 11th century when they arrived in this country. And they used to have competitions for the most human-like roots, and they sold for a lot of money, and people thought that they brought good fortune, money, wealth, health, and there were competitions, and people used to whittle them to make them look more human-like. and stick millet seeds in them to make them grow hair and beards. I read that Joan of Arc and Alexander the Great carried mandrake roots with them for their power and protection. There's a lot of mysticism and ritual around the harvesting of this plant, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because you can see it on Google, but it involves tying a dog to the plant and getting the dog to drag it and digging a moat around it, because the scream of the root is so loud that when you pick it, it will kill you. And in, I think, Chinese, it's called night cry. Hu, that's the name of the root. So most of the year, this plant is hidden, the root in the ground. And it grows in Europe, North Africa, some parts of Asia, Turkey, the Middle East, the Mediterranean, where it's steeped in a lot of tradition. So the leaves have been chewed and put in smoking mixes, and both the leaves and the roots have been burnt as incense with Boswellia sacra. A traditional remedy has been for ulcers that won't heal, not internal stomach ulcers, but skin and body ulcers from the outside of the body. The leaves were boiled in milk and then made into a poultice to apply to these stubborn ulcers that wouldn't heal. Maud Greaves, in her 1931 Herbal, described the leaves as harmless and cooling and used for an ointment and for an external application. She talks about dosage and how large doses are used to excite, cause delirium and madness. That the therapeutic doses are for procuring rest, sleep, for used in continued pain, melancholy, convulsions, rheumatic conditions, scrofulous tumours. Again, that's sores that won't heal. By expressing the juice from the root and the bark and mixing it, cooking it with wine or water. The scraped fruit was put into brandy for rheumatism, given at drop doses, and it was present in Anglo-Saxon herbals used with periwinkle against demonical possession. Maybe Priti Patel and Suella Braverman should have some. An old Arab medicine was made with spongia, called Spongia somnifera, and it was a sea sponge that was dipped in herbal extractions and then dried in the sun and broken off and used for anesthesia. The herbs it was dipped in were opium, mandrake, hemlock, henbane, ivy, mulberry and wild lettuce. It was crumbled into water and dripped into the mouth. It is said that the antidote to the Spongia somnifera was hops fennel in vinegar.